What's happening? My name is Blake Harris, and this is the Music City Mindset. And you can find the Music City Mindset on all platforms. We are in the NFM network, and we are very grateful for that. We are grateful for that because we get to do things like this, something we've never done before, a part two. We've got Coach Pete Cordelli here, and we're here for another hour with him. Hope everything was okay. Last time we were together.
Yeah, it was great.
Good go. So I'm not going to be here alone today, and this is going to be one hell of an episode, as you can already hear in that part of it here. Co-owner of Spontaneous Beauty, my best friend Evan Butler is here with me. All right.
Spontaneous Beauty.
Yeah. Art.
Can you help this face for radio?
No,
This face was made for radio.
If
They told me a long time ago I got one of them Roman noses. I'm Italian, but this nose is Roman all over my face.
He's not a magician, Coach.
If I would have done it on myself first.
Coach, last time we sat down, we got to talk a lot about we kicked it off by really talking about like the life lessons that football can teach you. If you have an open mind, you can take those lessons, no matter what they're about, from these coaches and players, what makes them special, and apply them to our own personal lives. There's always a common theme of the lessons you can learn on the field with working with different types of people, like a locker room. We were talking earlier, and I thought, you know what? Let's bring my buddy Pete in on this conversation. You're married, Coach, right?
Yes, 42 years.
42 years.
Thank
Well,
you.
you seem like a very organized man. You'll come in here with your folders, your notes, everything's like labeled, things like that. Over the course of 42 years, did your wife ever go through some like sporadic cleaning and move your stuff around?
Yeah, what a great question.
How do you deal with that, and what's the secret to a 42-year-old marriage?
Well, the secret is she's a strong woman. We understand each other. But in coaching, I was gone so much recruiting. And believe me, I don't mind recruiting because there's a beginning and an end. It's not like I have a 12-month job on the road. But I knew once during the season you could go out once a week. So September through November, you're out visiting, watching guys play on Friday nights. But then December, you're out for 2 weeks, and then in January, you're out for the whole month. So everybody talks about recruiting. I loved it because it was an opportunity to meet new people, new coaches, because without players, you don't have a program. And you never know who's going to be the difference maker in the development in your team. So my wife, though, had to be mom, dad, bad cop, good cop, and with two daughters, I'm blessed. A coach's wife has got to be special, and she will have a place in heaven long before I do. So I hope she'll send me some water, cool water, down to where I'm going. But my wife is just, and my daughters, we moved 9 times. And the one thing I'll say, it was always hard for my daughters to make new friends because you never know how long you're going to be in a place. But now today, my daughters have great friends from everywhere we lived. And I credit that to my wife because she was the one that had to introduce the girls to other friends, to other teachers, other schools. When I got around to writing this book, it was a year ago in June. I had shoulder surgery, and the guy who operated on me, he was a former Notre Dame football player, so I knew him. The first follow-up appointment I have with Doc, he looks at me and goes, "Coach, what are you going to do?" He said, "You should have been in to see me 10 years ago because of all the bone spurs, arthritis, and the other stuff." And I said, "Well, I waited as long as I could." He said, "Yeah, but your rehab's going to be at least 5 months, maybe 6. He said, "So what are you going to do the rest of summer and all fall?" And my wife, without batting an eye, I'm going to tell you what he's going to do. We've been traveling around the country with these damn boxes that I have no idea what's in them. I don't know why we're keeping them. And he hasn't looked at them in 40 years. Now, again, we've been 42 years of marriage. And so Doc starts laughing. I said, well, I got my marching orders, brother. I'll be going through these boxes. So sure enough, I started pulling out my old notes. And I mean, I got stuff from 1972 when I played for Coach Holtz at NC State, and then to Arkansas and with the Dallas Cowboys. Every place I've been, you know, you want to keep like a coaching manual, a philosophy deal. Well, when I started going through the boxes, I found the information I wanted to write this book, Making the Grade, and the manual that goes with it about the position specifics. So needless to say, I'd be out in the garage and she'd come out and she goes, you just moved the box over here. You didn't take anything out. I said, oh, yeah, I did. I said, look, there's 2 empty ones. She said, what'd you do with all the stuff? Well, I had just put them back in another box, you know, and because I'm going, and she's like, oh, my God. So, but it was great. I condensed it from 10 boxes down to 6. And fortunately, my youngest daughter, Kelly, who lives in Nashville, she helped me with the book and then got to writing it and got it on the market. And so now I have kind of separated those 6 boxes. I got 2 in one corner. I got 1 in another. And thank goodness I have some tarps and blankets that have covered them. So, but, and she just goes, I'm not coming out in the garage anymore. But if it wasn't for her, going for my wife, who, golly, I'm the luckiest man alive to have the wife I do, this book would have never gotten written. The manual wouldn't have gotten done. But I appreciate everything. But her toughness, you know, there were some times when we were let go, we were fired at places, we had to move on, and you don't know where the next job is, but fortunately we found one, we moved on, and as a family we came together. It made us closer. My daughters they're into football. And my wife always says, thank God we didn't have sons. You would have. I said, hey, those guys I coach are like my sons. So, but it's like Brian Kelly gets fired yesterday at LSU, and I get a text at 11 o'clock last night from my oldest daughter over in Raleigh. Dad, did this really happen? And I'm like, girl, what are you doing? You're supposed to be asleep. You got 2 boys, you know, and it's like, but they're into it. And we have great discussions about players. I used to have the players over to my house every Thursday night for dinner after practice. Thank God my wife would just cook up as much pasta as she could, red sauce. And I mean, some of those guys had hollow legs, man. But it was great because we got to know them. Yeah. And I tell guys all the time, I don't coach you for 4 years. I'm with you the next 40, 50 years of your life, because those are the kind of relationships you build. And when you're out of coaching, that's the thing you miss most, is the interaction with the players and the other coaches in the locker room. Mm-hmm. Because as you guys know, that locker room, that's a special place. Yeah. Because of what goes on in there, the bonds,
it's a whole ecosystem.
You know, the NCAA a long time ago did away with athletic norms, which I think was a huge mistake. And here's why. Guys developed lifelong relationships in that dorm, not because of football or basketball. Curfew may have been at 11 o'clock. Nobody's going to bed at 11 o'clock. Yeah. But all of a sudden, guy walks in and said, hey, we got to go down the hall and talk to John. His grandma just passed. Or Jim's girlfriend just fired him. Or, so-and-so's mom has a medical issue. Life comes at you so fast. Who do you have to help you? It's your teammates. Mm-hmm. It's your brothers. That's how you get the brotherhood. And there are so many relationships that were built in those athletic dorms after 11 o'clock at night. Players aren't out running the street. They're in the dorm. But, man, some guys are playing music. Other guys are playing video games. But it's you and I. Yeah. And you guys know from being as competitive as you are, you want to do what's best, play your best because of the guy on your right and the guy on your left.
Yep.
The ones you've been through the hard times with every day. You know, it's like the Navy SEALs say, the only easy day was yesterday. Football players the same way.
Yeah. And of course, obviously, I can't fully promote doing anything unhealthy. But me and some of my brothers, the bonds that were formed over a keg, not kale.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those are the kind of relationships that that have lasted.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there wasn't any alcohol in those places now. Or maybe some other things that were medically used, but you know, I mean, man, I can remember the first team meeting that Coach Holtz had talking about the evils of marijuana and the drug testing and all the stuff that's going on. And guys looking around going, "You better move that bong, boy." You know, but it's a way of life.
Yeah. It is.
And I'm not condoning it. I'm not, but there's no other group on a college campus like that of your football team because it's the most diverse group. You have guys from all walks of life, all races, color, creed, religion, coming together for one common cause. And to come together, you have to spend time together. And that's why today's world, especially with NIL, the only time you see your teammate is in meetings, practice, and then everybody's gone. They're scattered to all corners of the wind. I mean, the wind just – and the next time you're going to see that guy is maybe tomorrow.
You got to find a team – that X factor, I think, in good teams and great teams is who likes each other. Sometimes it's not the most talented team across the roster, but how that roster plays together and how much does your team like each other. That I don't think that gets really talked about.
I think the one thing that
enough.
It's life. Yeah. Not everybody's going to like each other, but as long as you have respect for one another.
Yes. I think we're losing a little bit of that.
Oh man, I mean, we've lost common sense and respect in this world, and that's why I truly believe athletics brings it back. There's nothing that unites a community quicker than a winning team. Look what's going on with Vanderbilt here in Nashville. They've become the team over the Titans. Mm-hmm. I mean, Diego Pavia, and I say this: what's going to happen after Diego leaves? You know, what's the Pavia effect? There's a window of opportunity for Vanderbilt football to take advantage of Diego. He's their best recruiter right now.
If they flip that Georgia commit,
Jared Curtis,
that'll be the first trickle down effect of the Pavia effect.
No doubt.
One thing I want to get to, Coach, hearing about your story and really what makes you tick. Last time we spoke,
you
have family that were fleeing Russia, family that left Italy. When you really break it down, I was thinking about this the next night after we spoke. Football, really, the commitment to ball is what got your dad out of the coal mines.
Right.
But the trade-off was he had to, slave away in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Your commitment to ball and taking what he did to the next level allowed you to not have to be in the classroom.
Right.
And elevate that. So there's definitely an argument that the Cordellis have given a lot to football.
Yep.
But it does seem that football gave back to the Cordellis. Is that a true, accurate statement?
Without football, that's our life. Football gave us opportunities all over the country. And my middle brother is a West Point graduate, spent 26 years in the military. And but it was football that got him to West Point. My youngest brother came and played for us at Arkansas. And he was on the team for 2 years, and then we left. We went to Minnesota, but he stayed, finished his career. He got into college coaching. So football has been the saving grace for our family, and it has given us the path to move forward in life. But because of my grandparents and my mom and dad, it's always about helping other people. Mm-hmm. And in football, that's what you do, is you help other people. My dad used to say it all the time, we don't get into this game to run people off. Mm-hmm. We get in this game to develop them, not just as players, but as young men, and understand the importance that There's more to life. But this game teaches us how to get up after you get knocked down. And it's what you do with the adversity in your life that determines if you're going to be successful or mediocre. You know, Lou Holtz used to say all the time, it's easy to be average. All you got to do is breathe. What are you going to do after you breathe and say, all right, what path am I going? Yeah. The greatest power God gave us is the power of choice. But it's the choice to use your strength and have conviction in your beliefs that separates you from saying, no, I'm not doing that. And I'm not putting up with that action. In today's world, I wonder about my grandkids. And I try to set an example is there's a difference between right and wrong. Got any question? There's the greatest book ever written called the Bible. Open it, read it. And you're not going to always understand everything in it, but at some point, you're going to have to make tough decisions. Kids are cruel. I mean, kids are cruel. This online bullying and the things, that stuff's been going on for years before we had the internet. You know, I mean, I hate it that, you know, overweight children were being bullied at school on the playground. And then as a teacher, you have to say, that's not right. I mean, we accept people as they are, and they develop, they grow out of it. But if you don't learn respect and how to make the right choices early, and we're not all going to do it. Make a bad choice doesn't make you a bad person, as long as you learn from it.
Well, I think the mindset of the entire society as a whole of like, you know, it was like a big thing of like a rite of passage growing up to like face your bully. But now with the access of online, you don't even have the opportunity.
I can't tell my kids the beat up the bully story because nowadays it's not like it was when we were in school. If you harm somebody, even if they're the bully, zero tolerance, you're gone. We had you got paddled, you went back to class. Y'all had to face each other another day.
If you can even find the bully online.
Well, and talking about bullies, I'm glad you said this because my daughter got an award at school the other day. I'm bragging on her. I got redheads, they're fiery attitudes. And it was a student conduct award. And I asked her about it, and she said, I don't do anything disrespectful at school. And then I thought, she kind of bullies me a little bit. And then reading the beginning of your book where you said, the critiques from my children will live rent-free in my head for many years, the rest of my life to come. That's a daily basis for me. Like, critique.
You're going through what I went through 15 years ago. And, you know, it's daily now. But when they move away, you know, when they go to college the first time and they're not home, and then they move on and they find somebody, and then all of a sudden, especially, I'm not saying for boys, but for girls, man, my daughters used to, because I knew all the high school kids that sometimes they would have dates with, and I'd say, nope. And they go, you're so mean. I said, whoa. You know, no's a good answer right now. And you'll understand that further on down the road. But you never stop being a parent no matter how old the kids are. And you want to make sure you help them right decisions. And then through college, you know, they're going to be college kids. You want them to enjoy it. But as they get into adulthood and things like that, you hope that whoever they find as their partner, it's not a bad relationship, because that'd be the first thing that got me put in jail would be if my daughters were mistreated. That's just the way it is. I mean, it's not a threat. Tony. That's just the way I react. Yeah, Uncle Tony.
My mother always said, I'm not going to tell you who you can date, but I will tell you who you can't.
Exactly. But your children, and again, this comes from, you got to give them a little leeway to grow up. But at some point you say, nope, that's not flying here. And you make a great point. I don't think much of that is going on because, yeah, you made contact with this kid, and yet you were being wronged.
Yeah.
And I really question a lot of school administrators as to what criteria are they following.
Yeah.
Do we want to be everybody's friend? Or do you want to say, we have a strict code of conduct here, and this is how it's going to be?
Not everything is as clearly laid out of what they're looking for.
Exactly. But the lack of communication and the lack of transparency, because, well, I don't want to get anybody upset. You know what? In life, you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because I say there's two constants in life. One's death. We're all going to pass. The other is change. Taxes aren't even a constant because here's the deal. There are a bunch of folks out there, as we've seen, aren't even paying taxes. Mm-hmm. They're trying to cheat the government, cheat other people. But change, look out the window and watch the weather. Mm-hmm. But people change because of circumstances, and that's where you are judged on your character. Mm-hmm. John Wooden, legendary basketball coach at UCLA, just won so many championships. In fact, when I was in school at NC State, we won the basketball championship in 1974 with David Thompson, Monty Tao, Tommy Burleson, and had to beat UCLA in a regional tournament game. But Coach Wooden used to say all the time, your character is the most important thing you have. Don't worry about your reputation. Reputation is what other people think of you. Your character is who you truly are. Mm. How strong are you going to be to stand up for the right thing?
Yeah.
And there's another passage there that a lot of preaching, not much practicing.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like, it's funny to me, some of these coaches now, you're going to hear, they want to go win the press conference. I could care less about winning the press conference. What are you going to do to develop your team and make your team better? And don't say one thing and be a hypocrite and not follow up on it.
And that's something that you can really learn from being in a locker room. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to be like a main pillar in that locker room and be hypocritical, not being accountable. That locker room teaches you a lot. And it's what you always hear anyone who retires. They always say, like, that's, that's the camaraderie. It's the locker room. And I think most people, when they hear locker room, they think players. The sport's about the players. It's the players that score the points. But I'm assuming that there's some camaraderie amongst coaches.
Oh, yeah.
When you look at coaches, when you hire a new coach, when we hired Callahan, he brought his whole staff with him. It's a known thing. Like, people have their people. How does a coach getting like a head coach opportunity, how does someone form like their staff that it's going to be a known thing? When DeBoer went to Bama, mm-hmm. He had some big shoes to fill. Like, the people he brought with him and like kind of creating that core group. I mean, you followed Lou around
14
years in all different places. Mm-hmm. So there's got to be some camaraderie there. How does that really happen?
That's a great question, because a head coach can't do it by himself. Coach Holtz used to always say, I'm going to die leaning on my staff. And your staff makes you or breaks you. You guys know the one group you never fool are the players. They know who they can count on. They know who's full of shit, and they know who will be the first one to turn their back and run. And so it's one of those things where bigger, stronger, faster doesn't always win. It's determination. It's a will. It's a camaraderie. But it's also on a staff, because you have to make tough decisions about playing the best players and have them live up to a standard. Once you set a standard, people either live up to it or they fall below. Our philosophy, or my philosophy in recruiting always was recruit better than what we have. That's not a negative towards who we have. It's just to increase competition. So that now if we can increase the competition, that makes the current players we have better. And it makes the younger players, when your seniors or your leaders are playing the best football of their career, you have a chance to be really good because that makes everybody else play hard. The one thing you have to be able to capture is effort. If you don't have effort, if you don't have a commitment to getting better, guys are going to fall on you. And the mental toughness, the body's willing, but the mind's weak. And that's where in the off season, your team is built in the weight room and your off season training program to develop a mental toughness. Your staff has to be committed to toughness as well. I'm not talking about abusing play. There's a big difference. You don't ever be condescending, talk down. You respect those players. My dad used to always say, don't ever put your hands on somebody unless you're trying to show them a technique. Because in the heat of the moment, you put your hands on them, they're going to fight back. So you got to be under control. You don't ever want to embarrass someone because you guys know you're giving it their all. So get them better. But I say this, the players know. Mm-hmm. We don't give them enough credit. Coaches know. But on a staff, you have to be willing to say to another guy on the staff, we got to do this better. We have to do that better. So it's all the different positions have individual work. O-linemen work on one thing. Running backs work on one thing. Receivers, quarterbacks. That's your individual period of practice. That's about 15 minutes long. Then you come to unit. O-line versus D-line. Linebackers versus running backs. Receivers versus DBs one-on-one. Then you come to team. The offense versus the defense. So there's a progression in how you do that. Well, your coaching staff has to be on the same page as to how you're going to have a plan of development for individual to unit to team. And once you get that going and you're in phase with one another, man, things run very well. But if you have one guy who's trying to do something that wasn't talked about, it's like, whoa, wait a minute. And the players are like, what's going on with him? There are some young coaches, and I actually couldn't believe I heard this, but there was a young coach that came in and talked to a quarterback I had in the high school level and said, look, you're really good. I want you to play at our school. But let me tell you something. We're going to set a lot of records. We're going to throw for this many yards, this many touchdowns, this and that. And the quarterback's a pretty smart kid. And he said, well, what about winning? He said, oh, that'll come. And I'm thinking, so you're trying to promote your numbers through this kid, but yet the most important factor, winning, is not your number one priority? So I didn't say anything. So a young guy looked at me when he was gone. He said, Coach. I said, not happening. You're not going there. Oh, sure enough, the guy got fired 2 years later. But they're trying to put up all these numbers because they think that's what's impressive. You got to win.
Yep.
And the acronym for win is what's important now. So you have to set your priorities with your secondary things. Win. What's important now? I use a lot of acronyms, like WOW, we own work. POP, pursuit of perfection.
That sticks in your head, though.
But that's the way, think about it. That's the way your kids text.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They use LOL.
Yeah.
All right. I could go into some,
Yeah.
When I use a lot of what WTF, but I'm so damn old. Seriously, But in coaching,
you got to get people to buy in.
Well, we meet as a staff to figure out what's the best plan going forward. And if we don't have what we do on Monday bills for Tuesday, what we do on Tuesday bills for Wednesday, Wednesday bills for Thursday, Thursday bills for Friday, and then it's all got to come together on Saturday game day with the emotion, with the plan. Mm-hmm. You don't want your guys to peak too early, so you try to hold emotion out of it. But on Saturday, the longer you go, you're getting a little bit more with the emotional side of it, and then you put it all together, so it's like a explosion at kickoff, and because you only get 12 opportunities in college.
Yeah.
If you're fortunate and go to a bowl game or get the playoffs, it's another week. Players are creatures of habit as well.
Yep.
They like consistency. My plan always was we play on Saturday. Sunday you got to go to church. I told parents, I want you to get up, go to church. Just because you're in college doesn't mean you give up on, no matter what religion you are. You're Baptist, you're Church of Christ, Catholic, whoever you are. Methodist, get up, get out of bed, go to church. I mean, that's the way you were raised. Continue that. And then we would come back, we'd meet at 1 o'clock as a staff. And then at 4 o'clock, we'd have a team meeting, go over the game from before, the day before, and then have a quick 1 hour, 15-minute correction period, and then some running and jogging because, guys after games get mighty thirsty and they might want to quench that thirst with something that, which I don't blame them. So but in college, we give them Monday off. Mm-hmm. Here's why. I never wanted to hear, well, I couldn't get to see a professor. If we practiced on Monday, had Sunday off. There aren't any professors that have office hours on Sunday.
Yeah.
So Monday, that's your day. That's your academic day. That's the day to heal. That's the day to get your academics right. Mm-hmm. And Monday night, 5 o'clock, all the coaches would have dinner with their freshmen and first-year players to find out how you doing, just to get personal with your first-year guys in the program. Here's what we expect. What are you struggling in? Can we help you get a tutor? Everything good at home? It's a weekly check with the younger guys. It also gave the coaches all day Monday to prepare the game plan. And then we also had Tuesday morning. So you had basically a day and a half to get ready for the new opponent. And then Tuesday, you're back on the field. Tuesday's a physical day. We at Notre Dame, I think I told you guys this, 1987, Coach Holt said, we're going to play 2 games a week. You all know the game's on Saturday because that's the public schedule. He said, but here's the deal. We got to get more competitive. We got to get more physical. So at the end of practice, we're going to have a 30-play scrimmage, 1 versus 1. Got officials playing in, just like a game. Now, if this is going on, if the drive is going on, and all of a sudden the manager comes up and says, Coach, we're at 30 plays. I know where we are. We're in the middle. Can't you see we're in the middle of the drive? We got to go score, son. Get out of here. And then players would go in. As coaches, we'd go in, shower, go over, eat, come back. We graded as coaches that film like it was a game. And whoever came out with the highest grade, those were the starters for Saturday. And we posted that Wednesday morning. So you knew. And that changed week to week. But it created competition. Getting tougher. And I'm talking about it was full go, take guys to the ground.
Yeah.
Wednesday, we always came out, and at the end of practice, it was a short yardage, 3rd and short, 4th and short, and goal line. So we got another 10 to 15 contact plays in there again. Thursday, obviously, pretty quick going through it. On Friday, I always had the quarterbacks and receivers come in and go through a 20-minute pass scale, about half to 3/4. Here's why. I've never understood how you tell a quarterback, we want you to be consistent, develop a relationship, KYP, know your personnel. And then the last time they throw to the receiver is Thursday afternoon. Next time they throw, it's pregame warm-up on Saturday. Why are you taking Friday off?
Mm-hmm.
Take Sunday off. Take Monday off. The day before the game, you have to keep the continuity going and the timing going. Passing game's timing and rhythm. Why would you take a day off? So we came in and, thank goodness a couple places I coached at, we had an indoor facility. So boom, we'd go through the script. And and all of a sudden we'd find DBs wanting to show up and no contact, none whatsoever. Stay off. But get your reads, get your reaction. And then Friday night, at the hotel, you have a meeting, and Saturday, man, it's on. It's on. So that's the week, but coaches have to be on the same page so they can direct their players to it. And been fortunate, won a lot of games with that plan.
Well, I definitely want to talk about winning. We're going to take a short break. We're going to hear a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back here with Coach Pete Cordelli.
At Optimize You, we believe that normal is not optimal. Whether you've been dabbling in hormones or this is your first time and you want to know where to get started, we make the hormone optimization process very simple. Simply get started with comprehensive labs, and our providers will take it from there with you to review where you are right now and where you want to be to ultimately help you achieve your health and performance-related goals. So from our expertise in hormones, peptides, all the way to recovery services, we want you feeling at your optimized best so that you ultimately feel better physically, mentally, and sexually. Just like hormones play a significant role in the overall optimization of your health, so do recovery services help your body on a cellular level. From our sensory lounge to our infrared sauna, full body red light, full body cryotherapy, cold plunge, we have a wide range of performance recovery services just for you.
And we are back here at the Music City Mindset. We are coming to you from the beautiful WNSR studio, and we are here with part 2 of Pete Cordelli. Coach, you said something in that last little segment there that winning cures everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people's jobs at stake, everything, winning just solves everything. I do want to talk about something, and you don't seem the type to shy away from it. When it comes to winning, your record as a head coach compared to your record as an assistant and things like that wouldn't be very good in today's world, in any world. But you got 3 years to try to make a mark. And that didn't work out for you in that particular situation, whether it be the staff around you, all the other things that we could talk about. But it seems like in today's world with what just happened to Brian Kelly, James Franklin started off as, he's an overtime victory away from maybe being ranked number 1 in the country to now he's fired. It seems like the coaching hot seat can get so much hotter, so much quicker with a shorter leash than what it used to be. Is that how you see things? Is that because of NIL? Would you have liked to have been involved in the NIL stuff?
The margin of error in today's world, and I think in society, is so thin. Your window of opportunity diminishes week to week. I did not do a very good job as a head coach at Kent State. That is on me. There were some factors, but I did not handle it very well. I'll just tell you, I made some really poor decisions. Before I took the job, I was told I could bring 9 new assistants. So I had made calls to bring a whole new staff. And so when I get out of the press conference, the introductory press conference, I'm walking from there down to meet with the current staff, who I've been told I could replace. And the athletic director gets me halfway, and he said, "I need to talk to you a minute." And I said, "Okay." He said, "Look, I know we said we were going to give you 9 new assistants." He said, "But we can only give you 4. You got to keep these 5 guys." And so I said, wait a minute. The president, he said, "Well, we've discussed it with our budget." And I said, "Okay, all right." And I'm thinking, I can I'll make this work. Well, then I find out the 5 I had to keep all interviewed for the job. So,
oh man,
but
it's a weird dynamic.
But again, and then I go back and I say, okay, the guy before me with 25 scholarships to give in his first year, he signed 21 guys. So he had 4 scholarships. Didn't bring a walk-on. The next year with 25 to give, they bring 19. So now you're down 4 and you're down 6. You're down 10 scholarships. No walk-ons. This fella's last year with 25 to give, they signed 14 guys.
Just not being efficient.
And, well, I find out later they hired this guy because he just needed 5 years of service in the state of Ohio to get his 30 years max in retirement. So it was an AD taking care of his buddy. That's all good and well, but when you're trying to rebuild a program that's had 1 winning season in the last 23 years, you need as many guys as you can. And I didn't do a good enough job researching the numbers. So it's on me. And but again, those are some things, and you go, okay, we'll make this work. And then you find out some other things as you go on. They didn't have a mandatory weight program. So I put in a program 4 days a week like we did at Notre Dame. Monday, Thursday, upper body. Tuesday, Friday, lower body. Wednesday was going to be a stretch, jog, deal. I mean, I got 4 freshmen come to me and say, Coach, this is no fun. I quit. I said, let me tell you something that's less fun than lifting weights, losing. Mm-hmm. I hate to lose, but we're going to put the work in, so it's better off without you. Good luck. So we scrambled that first year, and we ended up signing 25 guys, but we brought 21 walk-ons in too because we had to build up our numbers. And you learn that it takes 3 years to really build the staff the way you need to. But again, thankful for the opportunity. Learned a lot about myself. And I did not do a very good job.
Would you have enjoyed NIL with all of that on top of it?
Oh, sure, yeah. Okay. I mean,
because it seems like part of the reason why some of those older coaches, Saban, well, they don't handle that the same.
With me, we've had this model in the NFL of pro scouting, college scouting, and free agents, right? So it's a balance. You can't build your team off all draft picks because it takes forever. You can't build it off all the free agents. That doesn't work out. And then you can't build it off all college guys either. You have to have a balance and a blend. I don't think there's enough communication between the pro personnel, college personnel, and the coaching staff. That's why when I went to work for the Dallas Cowboys, Coach Landry said, we have this position-specific chart as coaches we want to use, and we give to the scouts. I actually had a handheld notebook with the position specifics that I watched guys at practice, and I could grade them right there. Then I had another one where I'd go in and watch film. Then I had one for the game. So you're always evaluating people, and that's what I've put into this book. And like I said, we instituted this at Notre Dame after the 87, 88, 89, 90 season. 4 years, 25 scholarships a year, 100 guys. 41 of them went to the National Football League, got drafted. 7 more signed as free agents. But it takes time. But guess what? Tell me something that you're successful at that doesn't take time. What are your odds of winning the damn lottery? Right. Not real good, but everyone wants that instant success.
But sometimes it seems like these coaches aren't given the time to do it.
That's a great point. Back when I first got into coaching, after a coaching change, most people said you got 5 years to build a program. Because we had no portal. We had no NIL. So you were basically built, and transfers had to sit out 1 year. And if a transfer tried to go within the conference, like if a transfer, let's say a kid was in the SEC, went from one SEC school to another, he had to sit out 2 years. So you weren't getting many transfers. And Coach Holtz had a great comment about transfers. He said all they're doing is changing the address of their problems. And you know what? When people leave business, they're for a reason, or they're asked to leave, they're just transferring the address of their problems. There are so many kids in the portal, yet how many of them really become productive? So you have to do a great job again on the evaluation process.
Yeah.
I think Kurt Cignetti has done a tremendous job. He brought about half his team from James Madison with him to Indiana, but he brought in a new quarterback in Mendoza who's doing a great job this year. And
I like that team a lot.
Oh, yeah. But we always had 7 areas we felt we had to control to win a football game. But the other 2 things we had to do was, number 1, after the 7, don't flinch, don't show a weakness, and be the most physical football team on the field for as long as it takes. Teams that get better in the fourth quarter and they win the fourth quarter are going to win a lot more games because of physical toughness. In 1987, Timmy Brown won the Heisman Trophy. I was fortunate enough to coach Tim. You talk about a guy that just wore people out at practice. I mean, he would block his tail off, catch ball. I mean, unbelievable. But again, we were an option-based offense, so everything we did was on the perimeter. So if I had 15 minutes of individual, like I talked about earlier, 10 was spent on blocking. Then we go to unit, and we're going outside. Well, if we got 20 minutes there, 15 was option plays, and the other 5 would play action pass. Then when we went to Pascal, all right, we only had it for 10 minutes because we were a run-first football team. So Timmy wins the Heisman. I'm fortunate enough to go to New York, see the whole deal. Man, it was a thrill of a lifetime, something I'll never forget. And this is back in the old downtown athletic club. I get off the road recruiting in February of 88 because the 87 was completed. So we get done with signing day. And Coach Holtz comes in. He said, hey, just got a call. Al Davis is coming in 2 days, wants to talk to you about Timmy Brown. Raiders are thinking about taking him with the first pick in the draft. I said, great. So Coach Davis comes in, and I mean, you talk about a character now.
I mean, I can't imagine.
So he walks in, Coach Holtz brings him in, he said, Coach Davis, Pete Cordelli. And Al Davis always talks in the third person.
Third person?
Youngster, it's a pleasure for Al Davis to meet you. And he sticks out his hand. I'm like, oh, my gosh. You know, he got that hair slicked back.
The legendary Al Davis is here to meet you.
I said, great to meet you, Coach, but this isn't the first time we met. He said, youngster, Al Davis never forgets a face. He said, when might have Al Davis met you? I said, well, Coach, my dad had a player in high school that played for you with the Raiders. He said, youngster, who might that player have been that played for Al Davis at the Raiders? I said, Harry Shue. He goes, oh, my God, Harry the Shoe, one of the all-time greats, Memphis State University. I said, yeah, he played for my – he goes, I met you at the Hall of Fame, and all of a sudden this third-person stuff goes out the window. I met you at the Hall of Fame induction for Harry back in Pennsylvania. I said, yes, sir. I said, I was only 10. He said, you were the little guy standing next to your dad. I said, yes, sir. He goes, oh, my God, what a great trip that was for Al Davis. I'm going.
He's back in character.
Well, I said, yeah, Coach. He said, Harry was a great player for us. And so we get talking about Timmy. I said, Coach, I'm going to tell you something right now. You got to give Tim 1 year to learn how to run routes. And he said, youngster, what are you trying to tell Al Davis? I said, we're an option team. He's going to be the best blocker you have. He's going to be a great kickoff return guy. But as a receiver, let him learn the offense for a year. And I said, he'll become one of the great receivers in Raider history. He goes, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I said, when you watch it, I said, and I explained our breakdown, you know, with individual with 15, 10 was blocking. Perimeter, 10 was blocking. You know, we only have 10 minutes of throwing the ball. I said, but Timmy, he's so smart. He sees something one time and he moves on. So he goes, this has helped Al Davis a lot. Thanks, youngster. He said, might you have any other questions for Al Davis? I said, Coach, I do. He looked at me. I said, during World War II, you coached an Army military football team at Quantico, Virginia. I said, and for 3 years you went undefeated. He goes, youngster, who have you been talking to about Al Davis? And I'm like going, this dude's standing right in front of me going, youngster? And I'm like, well, there's a guy that my dad coaches with at Neshaminy High School who's his best friend, but is also our wrestling coach, science teacher, and he was your trainer at Quantico. He goes, Chris Poff works with your dad? I said, yes, sir. He goes, don't believe a word his ass says about me. I mean, and all of a sudden this deal goes out the window about Al Davis and youngster. He goes, he knows way too damn much about. I said, oh, yeah, I've heard. He goes, do not repeat one more damn thing about Al Davis. And I said, Coach, I'm not trying to get you riled up. He goes, I tried to hire him 3 times to be my trainer with the Raiders. And I said, well, he still speaks highly of you to this day. He said he should. He said, damn, he said, I sent him so much Raider gear for his sons, you know. And I said, yeah, his 3 boys, all wrestlers. I mean, it was great. I said, but Coach, you were undefeated for those 3 years. He said, we were. I said, and then you've been an assistant coach, head coach, general manager. I said, and you've had great success with the Raiders. What is it about your evaluation process and your selection process? He goes, youngster, I don't know if anybody's ever asked Al Davis that question. I said, well, I'm asking. I'd like to know. He said, Coach, let me tell you one thing. I got so many things to teach my guys in the NFL and about the Raiders and organization. He said, I don't have enough time to teach guys how to win in the fourth quarter. I'm like, damn. He said, they either know how to win or we're going to get our ass kicked. He said, so I never draft a player, if I can help it, from a losing program. I want guys from winning programs who know when it's 3rd and 1 on the 1, we got to score. They've been there before. They know how to run that 4-minute offense. They've been there before.
That makes me think about that young coach that said winning wasn't the main thing.
So all of us, exactly. So he goes, you know, I've always believed in taking winners because when the game's on the line, that's the most critical point in the game. Who's going to make a play? Who can we count on? Because if you haven't ever done it, man, we get you on the biggest stage, you ain't going to do it. Now he's talking to me like a normal human, okay? He goes, but youngster, he said, no one's ever asked me that question before. He said, but that's really good. He said, what would you do with that? I said, well, here in college, using that philosophy, if we got 2 guys at the same position and it's going to come down to who are we taking, I want to take the winner then, and maybe not the bigger, stronger guy, but the guy that knows. He goes, you're damn right. He said, let me give you another little clue, youngster. If they're a captain, take them. Because they have leadership capabilities. If they have a role in the school, if they're on the student council as a president, vice president, they have a leadership role. I can't teach that to my guys because I got so many other things we got to get done. You either know how to win in the fourth quarter and close games out, or you don't. Fellas, we went back and we started recruiting, and when we got to our roster with the position specifics, we started looking at guys and what their records were, how many games they played, and how many wins they had. can't tell you how important that was in practice. And you see a guy like Chris Zorich getting ramped up, man, and his eyes, and going against a Timmy Grunhard, a Timmy Ryan, a Mike Helt, a Junior Bryant. We had some dudes now that would try to rip your face off, but it was because of the competition and wanting to win.
With that mindset of that's who you're looking for, is the benefit and the pros of evaluating and recruiting someone who just comes from a winning history. But what about the other side of that, of like if they've always been a winner, how that player is going to act when he does take a loss? Does he know how to handle that and move on?
Oh,
is
yeah.
that something you've looked at?
Oh, yeah, that's all part of it. But, if the majority of the time they've won, they'll know how to handle adversity and how not to let adversity affect them again. And that's something you talk to players about and people and kids about all the time. Yeah. But for the most part, now there were some situations the guy was just so good, he couldn't help the situation. You had to take him. But he quickly understood how to win and do those things because of the environment. And the word that everybody uses today is culture.
Earlier, you said you learned from your dad, never humiliate somebody, never use negative reinforcement to try to encourage somebody. I heard a story that you told that you told a player, I don't think coach doesn't think you're able to run this play. Do you mind telling that story? Because I thought that was I don't know if you came up with that per se, but that was genius.
We were getting ready to play Southern Cal. Tony Rice was the quarterback, and we're going to play Southern Cal in L.A. It's 1 versus 2. We're 1, they're 2. I mean, this is a big matchup. This is 88. And SC, they got Mark Carrier at free safety, who was all pro with the Bears. They got Junior Seau. They have a kid by the name of Dan, I believe it was Dan Anderson, who went to the Lions as a D lineman. I mean, they had dudes now. I mean, best defense we're going to play. But they have a corner to our right, their left corner. Back then you didn't flip. They weren't flipping field and boundary, or they played left and right corner. Their left corner, to our offense's right, was the indoor, and this is back in the Pac-10 days, Pac-10 55-meter champion. He was the outdoor 100-meter champion and 200-meter champion. I mean, the kid could fly. We're a big option team. So we're going to run trap option, belly option, try to get the ball on the perimeter and then throw play action off it, which we had success with everywhere we met. We ran the veer at NC State. We ran the veer at Arkansas. But at Notre Dame, because we weren't that first year so good in the offensive line until we had to do some things with the option game. Here you go, last game of the year, man. L.A. Coliseum going to be sold out, packed out. I mean, it's SC Notre Dame. And, I don't know what Lincoln Riley's thinking, but this series has to continue. I mean, it's one of the great rivalries in college football. So, Sunday, we're watching the previous game that we played, and players leaving. Like I said, Monday's the day off. So I meet with the quarterbacks, and I said, all right, any questions, get ready. And so Tony Rice, our quarterback, he looks at me, he said, it's going to be fun. And I said, well, it should be, but, I mean, Coach has some concerns about you. He's looking at me. I said, don't worry about it. Just, I'll see you too. No. I said, no. I got to go to this meeting. I said, you're going to be all right. He said, no, I said, Tony, you're going to be all right. So I leave, and I'll be damned, Monday about 1 o'clock. He shows up in my office. Coach, what'd you say yesterday? You said something yesterday. And I said, T, we're in the middle of breaking down this film. I said, but I think you're going to have a great game for the most part. He goes, what does that mean? I said, you've been playing great all year, man. I said, you beat Miami. We've come back. I said, I'll just see you at the meeting tomorrow. Enjoy it. So Coach has a team meeting on Tuesday. Real quick overview, what's at stake. And all right, break up. So quarterbacks, receivers come in and we go through, all right, you always go through the personnel who you're going to play against. And so I start with the D-line, the linebackers, the left corner, their right corner, the safeties. So I don't say anything about their left corner got all right. And they're like, Coach. I said, oh, yeah. I said, this kid here, he's the Pac-10 55 indoor meter champion, 100 meter, 200 outdoor champion. I said, really good player. I said, we're going to have some issues with him. And they're I said, Tony, Coach doesn't think that you're going to be able to outrun him. He said, what did he say? I mean, and it's like he locks that jaw in his eyes. I mean, he's like, what? Was that what you were trying to tell me on Sunday? I said, well, in casual conversation. I said, but now that we've had a chance to study him, I said, damn, man, it's going to be. And I mean, smoke is coming out of his ears. He doesn't believe. I said, stop. We got to go to practice. Let's go. Well, Coach Holtz, he spends at Tuesday down with the defense because they have Rodney, Pete. I mean, they've got some dudes on offense as well. Well, we're going to change up our approach. So Coach is down with the defense most of the time. And so we're running plays. And I mean, I could just tell it's eating it, Tony. So Tuesday, we have practice. Wednesday, Thursday. Well, Thursday's Thanksgiving because we always played the Saturday after Thanksgiving. So we practice in the morning. We come back, have a team Thanksgiving dinner at the dining hall. Then we go out, get on a plane, fly to California, go to land at John Wayne Airport. We're staying at Newport Beach, the Marriott. On the plane, Thursday night, Tony comes up to me and goes, we need to talk. I said, no, it's been bothering me all week. And I said, no, we're going to be okay. No. So we get on the bus. He comes to my room. He said, what's going on? He said, what? I said, hey, man, this kid's got more speed. I said, all Coach said was the best time we got on you in the 40 is 4.8. He knows I run faster than that in the game. I said, look, you can yell all you want. I'm just telling you what the concern is of the head coach. You better go show. He said, damn it. And I said, there you go. You got it. Lock in, bro. So we have a quick meeting quick practice on Friday morning. And Coach has got to go to a Notre Dame USC luncheon at noon downtown. So the players have off Friday afternoon. Well, that's when Brooks and Waters get late, and so Lou sends them home and everything. So the distraction, Tony was going to come talk to him, but with all that distraction, didn't happen. So we get to the stadium. We run a series. They go down. We score. So it's 7-0. They come back, kick a field goal at 7-3. Kick it out of the end zone. And we got the ball on the 20. So the officials always come over and they say to the head coach, where do you want the ball? He said, I want it in the middle. So he said to me, I think I'm going with formation into the boundary and run belly option to the field. What do you think? I said, that's a great call because now we put the corner into the short side. Belly option, Tony reverses out, fakes to the fullback. He comes down. The end goes upfield on the pitchback. Tony plants and goes upfield. Here comes Mark Carrier as a free safety coming inside out. Tony jukes him. Carrier's grabbing air. Tony takes off. Well, he gets about midfield and he puts his head back. I mean, he's running as hard as he can. All of a sudden, he looks over his right shoulder. Here comes the corner. He's starting to close. All of a sudden, I mean, it's like not a fifth gear, a sixth gear. Bam! And Lou is going, where is he getting this speed from? I said, you didn't think he could outrun. Hell no, I did. But I never told him that. I said, well, I don't, you're going to have to talk to him about that. So he gets in the end zone. He flips the ball to the official. And now Tony's sprinting back to our bench. And Coach Holtz is coming down to give him a high five. Tony runs right by him, comes to the player phone behind the bench. And I'm on the player phone. He goes, hey, did I show him now? Did I show him now? And I said, I don't know. You better go talk to him because you embarrassed him. He said, I don't want to talk to him. I said, you better go do it again. He said, if he thinks I was letting that SOB catch me, he got another thing coming. He don't know T. Rice. And he hangs up the phone. And sure enough, he turns around and there's Lou. He goes, great run. He goes, yeah, did I prove to you I could run now? He goes, what are you talking about? Next thing I know, hey, what did you tell him I said? I said, I just said you had doubts. He goes, okay, it worked. That's just part of coaching. I mean, it was, but we went on to win the game, obviously. Our defense, Tony played great. He hit a deep ball to Rocket for about 60, and our defense just beat Rodney Pete to a pulp, man. They blitzed, knocked the heck out of him. And then we go beat West Virginia, in the Fiesta Bowl and win the national championship. But, yeah, T. Rice never questioned my game speed again.
I mean, it's just crazy to me that you got to be so close with coaching legends. Mm-hmm. The character that Al Davis is, the icon that is Lou Holtz. Mm-hmm. Even Tom Landry. Tom Landry, to someone my age, is more of like a mythical creature. He was kind of older and stoic, obviously before big media and things like that. What's something you can share about Tom Landry to tell us like who he really was?
In Dallas, we had our office on Central Expressway. Mr. Murkison was the owner. His office was up on the 12th floor. The coaches and scouting office was on the 9th floor. The coaches were at one end, scouting was at the other. And our practice facility was out at Greenville Avenue. This is long before Valley Ranch and Jerry's World and the Star and all that. But I'd be in an office, in my office, just watching film, and people didn't realize the personality Coach Landry had. He was great. All you saw was the most intense time of the week when he's calling plays. I mean, he's locked in. He's 1, 2, 3 plays ahead of what he wants to call. But during the week, when I was in the office, or other scouts were in the office, he'd come down to our end of the building about once a day. Hey, how you doing? Good. How you doing? So I'm in there watching film one day. The door opens. And I look up, it's Coach Landry. I say, hey, Coach, how you doing? He said, good. He said, who are you watching? I said, this running back. He goes, let me just say this to you. Unless it's Walter Payton or Gale Sayers, keep watching. I said, what do you mean? He said, go back and watch Payton and Sayers. They never, ever took a direct hit running the football. When a defender was coming to tackle them from their right, their left foot would widen, so they always kept the base. So they could have balance, take the hit, and then either spin or forearm through it. If the tackler is coming from their left, their right foot widens. He said most running backs narrow their base and trip themselves. Watch the base and then the acceleration after contact. And now the term being used today is contact balance. Mm-hmm. Coach Landry had contact balance back in 1980.
Wow.
And then he goes, here's the second thing. Are they a football player? I said, yes, sir. He said, you find those two things, come see me. I said, yes, sir, I will. And sure, and I mean, he always made sure that he'd speak to you, And I learned so much from watching him on the practice field and just his ability. We went to Thousand Oaks for training camp. And this is back when you could bring in as many rookies and free agents as you wanted. And this is the summer of 1981. And we bring 103 rookies and free agents to training camp for 10 days. Now, the core of our football team, we got 38 guys coming back, and they're all pretty good. And Coach Landry would shake his head. He said, I don't know why we do this. We're only going to get maybe 2 guys out of this. And I said, okay. So we're in the dining hall one day, and he said, we're going to scrimmage tomorrow. This is on a Friday. So he goes, have your whistle ready. He said, I want you to referee. I'm like, yes, sir. Wow, I can't. Man, I'm fired up. Coach Landry said, I'm going to referee this deal. So we're going along, and I mean, we're about 10 plays, 12 plays in, and John Wooten is the official on the other side. Tremendous guy. One of the great scouts of all time. And I'm on the other. The offense runs a screen. The ball gets tipped. The running back comes up and dives and catches it and then gets up to run. I blow the whistle. Woot looks, what are you doing? And I'm going, he's down. He goes, this isn't damn college. This is the NFL. Nobody touched him. And Coach Landry goes, good job, Rook. And I'm like, oh, my God. So I'm feeling bad because, the kid had made a great – and he gets up. If he's running, he might score. So we get over to the dining hall. Next thing I know, somebody comes up, puts their hand on my shoulder. It's Coach Landry and goes, typical rookie mistake. He said, don't do it again. I said, yes, sir. But he had a great personality, but let me tell you, he was locked in. He knew what to call, how to call it. And Coach Landry was just treated me extremely well.
I feel like a lot of people don't really get to know it, understand his personality. He was just super quiet, and suit hat off to himself. But
on the 9th floor, on all the floors, they had a 5-foot extension and walkway around so the people could wash windows and stuff. It was on every floor, but they had to have a safety harness and things. So they tell the story that Roger Staubach's been a longtime quarterback, been trying to get a raise out of Coach Landry. And they said no. And Coach Landry negotiated with Tex. Tex Schramm was really a great guy, super football mind, the general manager. So they're going back and forth, and it's, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, no movement on the contract. So one night, Coach Landry's up in his office. Well, there's, again, all glass walls. So he's watching film or something, and all of a sudden he hears this knocking. He thinks it's at the door. He said, come in. Well, the knocking gets louder, and he looks up, and outside the windows, there's Roger Staubach banging on the window going, I want a raise. And Coach Landry's like, get in off the ledge. And Roger's like, not until you pay me. And they're screaming at each other through the window.
I'm going to jump.
Yeah. And it's like, you're 9 stories up in this high-rise building, and Roger's banging on the window. And thank goodness he had gotten the night janitor to open the door for him, but he did have a rope on his belt that you couldn't see. Coach Landry didn't know it. So he's like, get in here. He said, not until you give me – and they're screaming at each other through this window. So sure enough, the next morning, Mr. Schramm calls Roger in and goes, how much you want? He gives
me a heart attack.
No, yeah, oh yeah. Coach Landry calls Tex immediately. He said, Tex, he said, Roger's lost his mind. And so he said, how much you want? He gave him a number. He said, I'll give you half of that. He said, okay, great. Oh, man.
Coach,
but, yeah.
It's been very obvious that your ability to take things from all these different legends you were around made you pretty invaluable as far as being able to be a weapon on the team you're with, how you evaluate players to help build the program. How different is this, especially in the generals section, about being able to evaluate a coach? You're around Belichick when he was early in his career.
In Cleveland, 95.
Was there anything about how you would evaluate him that said, he's going to be the GOAT one day? When it comes to coaching?
Or no, yeah, it was 94.
Was that kind of like a surprise?
No, when I was coaching at Notre Dame, Bill was the linebacker defensive coordinator for the Giants, and he came to South Bend a couple times, worked guys out. And I'd known about Bill. I really knew Coach Parcells through a friend of mine. And but Bill Belichick had a great reputation, and got to know him a little bit. But when I went to Cleveland, Nick Saban was the defensive coordinator. Really good staff. Woody Woodenhofer, the late Woody Woodenhofer, was a linebacker coach, and Woody, had been with the Steelers for years at Steel Curtain defense, and so. But it was a good staff, and Browns make the playoffs, and we beat New England and Parcells in the first round of the playoffs. But Bill, his attention to detail was second to none. I mean, always coaching guys. Now, the one thing he did do, Carl Banks was a player that played for him with the Giants. He was in Cleveland. Another guy that he brought from New England was Pepper Johnson. And he told Pepper and Carl, you guys got to control the locker room. We got to get this locker room bought in to my way, the way that you guys know it under Parcells and how we did it. And I'll credit Mr. Modell. He brought Jim Brown from L.A. back to Cleveland every Tuesday night. And Jim Brown was in the building Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every week. And he would talk to players about, look, you guys are making all these complaints about Belichick. All he wants to do is win. And here's what you got to do. And so the communication between Carl, Pepper, and Jim Brown was a great human being. I mean, I love talking to Jim. But from that management style with Coach Belichick, but let me tell you, man, a guy could make adjustments so quickly and get players in the right position. And, Nick, that year is when Saban took the Michigan State job. And so he was, at the end of the year, he was coaching in Cleveland. And on Tuesday, the day off, Monday night, after all his preparation was done with Brett, he'd fly up to East Lansing and work all day Tuesday on Michigan State stuff and then come back Tuesday night and be with the Browns. So
how can you compartmentalize something like that at that high of a level?
Yeah. Belichick had his college roommate on the staff with him. Ernie Adams was a guy.
Yeah.
And
Ernie's a weapon.
And Ernie was his voice in the press box, his eyes in the sky, and that's who Bill was talking to, was Ernie Adams. But Mr. Modell didn't quite understand what Ernie Adams' role was as special assistant to the head coach and being paid what he was being paid. So we're standing on the practice field one day before practice starts, and all of a sudden I see Mr. Modell. He's in his golf cart. He comes up, and there's Belichick, and there's Saban, and one of the other defensive coaches, Mr. Modell. Hey, Pete. I say, hey, Mr. Modell. He goes by. Now, I'm about 10 feet from him. So he pulls up, and he said, Nick, congratulations on the Michigan State job. He said, thanks. He said, I'll give you $250,000 right now if you take Ernie Adams with you, because I don't know what the fuck he does around here. And Belichick is like, huh? He goes, damn, Bill, explain it to me, because I don't know what the hell I'm spending all this money on. And Saban just broke out laughing. So, that was the Mr. Modell didn't have a
Ernie was like analytics before analytics.
Yeah, he also had some nice thoughts on pregame filming things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an advantage if you don't get caught. So, exactly. I mean, it is an advantage if you don't get caught. So, but when you get caught, you got to explain yourself, to the Spygate shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
But let me tell you now, Ernie and Bill, they beat to their own drummer. So yeah.
All right, Pete, we can't get out of here without you plugging the book.
Yeah, man. Appreciate y'all.
making the grade. We talked about who it's for, who would benefit. I wish I had my hands on it as a high school kid, understanding what y'all wanted of me to be better. Where can we get it? And plug it a little bit.
Go to Amazon,
Okay.
pull up Making the Grade, and makingthegrade.co. But I wrote this basically for high school players, junior high players, youth league players, their parents, high school coaches, youth league coaches, because most parents don't understand that the NCAA definition of a recruitable athlete is when you start ninth grade. So your academic background from ninth grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, you have to meet the criteria for admissions. So you got to make the grade in the classroom first. And then with the playbook, with the manual, the position specifics, your general characteristics like attitude, availability, dependability, all those things with what position you play. It's an opportunity to check yourself, be a resource for how to make yourself better. I want guys to get college scholarships and have their education paid for, because college debt is killing families and it's really hurting a lot of young people. There's money available. Go earn it, both in the classroom, on the football field, and hopefully Making the Grade will help you get there.
I love that.
Yeah.
Pete, thanks for taking the time to do this again.
Thank you.
Love
Golly,
this.
it's always fun being with you guys. Thank you. You do a great
This
job.
has slowly turned into my favorite time of the week to get my week started off in the presence of such a absolute legend and people that just I can soak in so much just from what you just osmosis.
Well, I appreciate that. It's about giving back. I think, like you said, I've been fortunate to be around some great people who have a philosophy and a foundation and core belief, and it's time to give back, and hopefully young people and their parents, guardians can all benefit from this. But go to Amazon.com, pull up Making the Grade, and get you a copy, and boy, I would love to hear what you think about it. But fellas, it's always a pleasure being with you.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Coach. It is amazing to sit down with an incredible mind, a great legend. Making the Grade is still him changing lives, trying to reach more people, and that is so commendable. If you love this episode the way I did, hit that like, share, and subscribe, and we'll be bringing more.
Yep, and for the love of Nashville, tune into the next one.